The Dark Room with your hosts, Paul Salvatori and Jordan Randall.
So today,
we're interviewing Justin Payne. Justin Payne is in our cities in Toronto, but it's the first time that I've heard of him, or the first time I heard of him was reading the Vice article that was published on him. And he's a child predator hunter, and he rides solo. He does this more or less, with some exceptions, more or less he does this on his own. He lures men online, posing as a child. Sometimes he poses as a little girl, sometimes as a little boy, anywhere from like ages of 11 to like 12 or 13. And the amount of men that he's luring and who are agreeing to come out is staggering. He's doing this essentially like a full-time job. He's a construction worker by day, but by night, or even before the night, he is back on his smartphone luring and luring and luring. And the moment that someone agrees to meet, he's out there. Just from out the gate, Justin, what motivates you to confront time after time these child predators?
It's like day one. Like, I jump on the chats and I get messages from guys that are over the age of 20, and in clear as day is the pictures that I post. It's 10 years old, and they're still willing to message. So it's like, I just have this fire inside of me that I can't stop, no matter what. Like, throughout all the criticism and everything like that, I can't stop.
Yeah. So like, is that something that just it began like in recent memory, or does this go back for years, something that you wanted to do and finally got around to doing it?
It's something that I always thought about doing, because like I've made like just small social experiment videos and stuff like that for a couple of years now, and just one day I just decided, because I'm a very naive person and very forgiving and very caring, I didn't really think that anybody would even entertain a conversation after finding out that I'm like 9 or 10. And long and behold, this guy drove from Hamilton to Toronto to meet me, and it was kind of stupid. I got him to meet me in front of my apartment building, but he showed up, and I put the fear of God in him, and then I posted the video, and then I met a few other people after that, and I didn't really check the views or the comments. And then one day I just jumped back on, and it was like parent after parent after parent and victim saying, do not stop, expose these people.
Right. So typically, like, what is the trajectory between the time that you establish contact with the predator to the time that you confront them?
Oh, it could be 5 minutes. The shortest time was 15 minutes.
Wow.
I just jumped on, and I got kicked off like 10 times that day. And it was about 6 o'clock. I jumped on, and then I signed in and made an account. And this guy messaged me, and he's like, yeah. He's like, that it's okay with me that you're 9 years old. So he drove from Port Credit to meet me. But I made sure to get as much intel as I can before agreeing to a meeting. And I never asked to meet them first. I always let them just blab their mouth, do all the talk, and admit fantasies and everything like that. And then once they say, let's meet, sometimes I'll go by myself. Sometimes I'll get my friend Kyle Wellesby. He'll drive down from Hamilton and help me out.
Like, what are some of the things that you do to make sure that they know or believe that you're a young person?
When I'm pretending to be Jennifer, it's extremely difficult. I have like a range of photographs, because sometimes they'll ask me to like give the middle finger in a picture or the peace sign or whatnot. So I'm covered in that area, but when it comes to talking, my soundboard only has 20 sounds. So that part's hard. But when I'm pretending to be Christopher, I'm 100%. I can do his voice. I know all the acronyms that the kids are using.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, SMH, shake my head. And it blows my mind that they don't need further confirmation. If I was on an online dating website and I was talking to a girl, I'd have to talk to her on the phone first. And it wouldn't just be like one day, let's meet. It would have to be like, let's talk for, a week or two before let's have a first date. but they're not looking to date. The ones that want to meet me after finding out how old I am, they want sex. And time again, it's let's have sex in the car. Let's go down this path, down the street from where I'm going to meet you, and let's have sex.
Right.
Because I believe some of these guys are married. So that's why they're doing that. Because there's a paramedic in Mississauga that wanted to meet for about half an hour to 45 minutes. And it was just down the street from his house. He said he had to get back home. So that just spoke to me as you're in a relationship.
Yeah. So there's two possible avenues somebody in your position could take. They can take all this information that they collect through the chats and then bring it to the police, or do what you do. So why do you choose to take that path?
With the social media?
To actually confront the...
I want to scare her.
Yeah.
Can I swear?
Yeah, say whatever you want.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I want to put the fear of fucking God in them.
Yeah.
I want them to remember my face as the face that scared the shit out of them that night. I mean, I can't physically hurt anybody. I can't detain anybody. I can't arrest anybody. But what I can do is show up and totally blow their mind. And it's always a deer in headlights every time they see me. And sometimes they recognize me too. And they're like, oh, fuck, you're that fucking guy.
Wow. So amazing. I mean, like when you're yelling at them, right? When you're like digging into them, and they're apologizing, and you keep yelling, is there something that you're specifically trying them to admit to? Like, is there like a sentence or like a phrase or like an admission that you want them to say in front of the camera? Or do you just keep yelling until you're tired?
Typically, I like to do what I call the good cop, bad cop.
Right.
Where, like, when I approach them, it's, pardon me, excuse me, I need to talk to you for a second. And if I don't get my confession, well, then I'm going to scare the shit out of them.
Right.
But generally, like, in the beginning, like, I want the confession.
Yeah.
But I want to reiterate in their mind,
Yeah.
this is wrong. Like, you should not be out here doing that. As soon as I say that I'm underage and I am a child, block, delete me, report it. Like, don't go and meet the kid. Like, that's... It's like it dumbfounds me because it leaves me speechless because it's just... it's obvious. It's wrong. You shouldn't do it. I have a 13-year-old sister. And, I mean, when I'm pretending to be a kid... I do find it hard to get angry and stuff. A lot of people say, like, why don't you kill this person or that? It's because I'm in a cross between what they're saying is real, but there is no person. So there's no it's hard for me to it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
But it's just every day is like an emotional roller coaster for me.
Yeah. Well, I think that you're eliminating threats, and I think that's is an interesting spot, of course, because they're going under the notion that they're going to commit a crime and they're going to do something horrible to a minor, but that minor doesn't exist. So you're preventing a crime that wasn't really going to happen then, but it's a threat that could happen down the road, may have happened in the past.
Right.
I think it's a weird gray zone, I think, but at the same time, it's definitely a good decision to make, to stop or to instill that fear in them. This a what if scenario. It's almost like they're kind of lucky in a sense that this.
Yeah, they're lucky they meet me.
Yeah,
I'm a nice guy, but there's people out there that if they were doing what I'm doing, the first person they'd be in jail. There'd be somebody murdered. But I'm very good at keeping it together, like controlling my anger. I let out as much as I know is accepted without hurting anybody.
Do you find it like scary or dangerous? I mean, like, what if one of these guys were to react in a hostile way towards you?
I've gotten asked that question quite a bit. I suffer from anxiety. And just before a meeting, like, I'm going through a buildup of all the conversations that we've had. I'm not even thinking about anything else. And, like, I'll be sitting in the car waiting for them to show up. And sometimes I'll have a panic attack and stuff. But as soon as I open that door and I see them, it's just, like, confidence goes up. And I'll deal with what happens when it happens. So if someone pulled a knife, I would deal with it. I mean, whether or not stepping back, still filming and confronting, or calling the police, or running away, or whatever. Like, I mean, it would just be like, and I'd know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the guys, they have tried to get a little bit physical, but for the most part, as soon as I say like step back, you know, I'll say it with a tough tone of voice, and they always step back.
Mm-hmm.
Justin, could you tell us a story about when you jumped on the car?
Which time?
That time where it was like, what was it, like 80, you say? It just took off. It was going really fast, and you jumped on top of the hood of the car. Because that, to me, symbolizes exactly what you said earlier when we were telling you that you're willing to risk anything and everything to do what you're doing. So yeah, the story behind that, what exactly went down?
The one in particular that comes to mind is the one with City News.
Yeah.
Basically, City News had contacted me and they wanted to do just a small report, just an interview. Well, the lady had called me back and she said, well, we'd like to do a follow-along and come with you and see what happens. I said, sure. Well, I had about half an hour to 45 minutes to put it all together. And the only person that I had that I was able to meet was somebody I met previous to, like that day was the night before. And it was a fail meeting because I had no one to be my decoy. And he had seen me standing at the corner where I said that the kid was going to be. So he got spooked and he left. Well, he messaged me, luckily, just like 5 minutes before that phone call. So it was great. So I just said, yeah, sure, I'll meet up with you today. And we sat in Mississauga at Carterview in Eglinton in that small plaza. And I got him to park in the Esso gas station. And that way, like, because there was cars and trees there, so we could kind of camouflage and hide. So he pulls up, my decoy's sitting there, he sees that it's not even a boy, it's a girl, gets in his car and decides to take off. Well, luckily there was a one-way street, so he had to go up, turn into the plaza, and the guy drove right past us. Wow. And I was texting with him at that second too, telling him, you know, like, where'd you go? Like, I thought we were going to meet. So I could see the car slowing down. He lied about the color of the car like they always do. But I could just tell it was him with the stop, go. And then as soon as he saw the cameras, you could see his head go up, he decided to take off. So I was like, I was 90% sure, not 100%, but I chased the car down, and I get to the side of the car, and I'm like, yeah, that's him. And then the news crew followed behind, and so I get to the front of the car because he's trying to leave, and I could see that the light was still red. So then I'm sitting in the front of the car, and we, like, with all the anxiety and all the emotion going on inside of me, like I wasn't moving. I was planted right there, but my knees felt like jello. So then he started doing like speeding up, putting the brakes on, speeding up, putting the brakes on, and then it got to the point where it was a cross between me falling and him lifting me up with the car, and he just took off with just like zero disregard for my life. I mean, it was stupid what I was doing, but at the same time, it's like I would have just parked the car, put the four-ways on, and called the police. But he knew he was in the wrong, so that's why he wanted to try to get out of there. But he didn't realize that I was not going to give up.
Absolutely. Just as a momentary detour, I want to ask you what life was like for you growing up in Nova Scotia.
That's a question and a half. I mean, like, it was a pretty typical childhood, but it all started, like, not to go into too much detail, we grew up in a trailer park. There's 6 of us in a 3-bedroom.
Right.
So, I mean, things were tight. So, like, we were really poor, and I dealt with a lot of bullying in school. So there was no balance for me, no middle. Like, I'm home, we're poor, we're all arguing, we're all fighting, and go to school, getting bullied. It got to the point where I didn't want to be here anymore. I attempted suicide twice. The first time, I believe, was just a cry for help. But the second time, I really wanted it. But God willing, he didn't let it happen. And then I took on the cutting. It was more of like, I can deal with things here rather than just end it. Mm-hmm. So I started cutting shortly after my second suicide attempt, and that went on for years. But it just, like, one day, just everything switched. Mm-hmm. And instead of going to school and being that obnoxious kid that yelled at the teachers, I would say, may I, can I please? And it's just like my whole life changed with just a few steps. And, I got a part-time job and started having money, started having friends, started learning how to become social with people, and dealing with my panic attacks and my anxiety. So now when I meet people, like I'll say, "Hey, I suffer from anxiety," and it's like most of the time it's like someone that I think is really cool and I admire them, and it's like, "Yeah, man, I have anxiety too," and it's just like it's a rush of emotions of happiness that like to know that other people are going through the same thing that I am. Um, but I was so glad when we moved to Ontario though 10 years ago.
Yeah. I'm sorry, to hear that. That's yeah, that's quite touching, and I'm glad though that you found a way to manage that, and that you're here now. But I want to see whether, in your view, like, do you feel that what happened then um, is directly connected to like what you're doing now, chasing child predators? Is that
I've gotten asked that question actually too,
Yeah.
like something similar to that. I feel extremely comfortable in chaos.
right?
Like as much as I look like I'm breaking down on camera in front of people, or
Right.
like even right now, like I'm sounding emotional,
Yeah.
I deal so well in hell. Like I'm so comfortable that I feel that this is like the right thing for me to be doing.
Right.
Like I mean, this is something that I've always wanted to help in some kind of a movement or something, but I didn't know my place or what to do or who to help or what. And then with that small social experiment that day, it was just like I found my stride basically. Like I just continued on.
There are going to be people that are going to say, to whatever degree, that these videos, them being online and stuff like that, that it's exploitative.
Mm.
It's maybe, I mean, this happens in so many different areas, right? But like that, it's maybe even vanity to a certain degree.
Mm.
Well, how would you respond to that?
I've gotten a lot of criticism. A lot of people saying that I'm using this as like a stepping stone, that I want to get famous and stuff. When I first started making videos, it was like anybody else. I mean, you want your face out there. You want to inspire people. You want to make them happy. You want to make them think, and that's basically how I started. But it's like, to me, it's like any actor or anybody. Like if you want to do something, I mean, you got to have that other side, um, which is someone that, and not in the sense of being an attention whore, but someone that can deal with it. And I mean, I have to deal with the good and the bad. So I mean, I'm good with being that guy that I walks down the street and it's like, hey, I know you, I saw you in that video, or what you're doing is wrong. Like you got to stop doing that. I mean, I've had it from all sides, and for me, it's just right off my shoulder. Like I'm following something that I feel is right. And when I was a kid, my mom always used to say, and she used to reiterate in our heads, that if you're gonna do anything in this world, you got to go 100%, not 90%, not 99, 100%. And that's basically what I'm doing. I'm willing to give up my reputation, my life, everything that I am and that I have, because I believe in this and I want this movement to carry on. I want people to know that it happens in Canada. Like I've talked to some people and they say, like, really? Like, I mean, you do know it happens, but not in Mississauga, not in Toronto. I mean, maybe sometimes. No, it happens every single day right now. I mean, I'm not online right now, and the person that I could be talking to could be meeting somebody else tonight, taking their innocence and their life away, even more, possibly.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like when I hear you say that, I'm convinced that this is not about, you know, a fame contest or vanity. You're putting too much on the line. Your physical, your mental well-being.
Yeah, the mental is pretty much gone now. Like I
Yeah.
pretty much don't have any sanity now. Like just after the 5 minute conversation with somebody that's okay with this.
Well, that's a good segue into what I want to ask, because like I noticed, and it's very moving to see. I told you in the text this morning that a couple of times in the videos one time, let me mention first the first video, where that guy is not showing any remorse when you ask him, how he can do what he's doing. You're almost moved to tears. what's going through your head at that time? Like what it's an awful thing, right?
I want to hurt them.
Yeah.
I want to hurt them. I want to hurt myself. I want to
Yeah.
run away. I want to jump off a bridge. I want to puke. I mean, it's just, there's really like, it's like a numbness. It's a sickness inside. It's just like, dude, are you serious? Like, this could be my sister, man.
Is it like a disgust for humanity? How would you describe, like, you just can't believe that people can be that way?
Like, I'm not a doctor. I have no degrees or anything, but I have this strong belief, and again, this is my naive side, that there's good in everybody. I mean, nobody's, from my point of view, really born bad. I mean, you're a baby and you grow up and stuff. I mean, there might be chemical imbalances and so on and so forth, and your habitat and stuff can maybe alter and affect stuff, but we all have so much good in us.
Right.
That I can't understand. Like, if I tell you I'm a kid, don't meet me.
Right.
Like, it's obvious. Like, I mean, if I was on a chat site right now and some girl said, hey, I'm 16, okay, yeah, have fun being 16, goodbye.
Right.
It's not like, oh, baby, like, do you have pictures of your boobies and can I see your bum and stuff? Can we meet? Can we have sex in my car? No.
Yeah. I mean, if you were making the laws, if this were your world, so to speak, how would you like to see child predators be dealt with? Would you want to put them in prison? Would you want to put them through some psychiatric program? Would you want to, some people will go so far as to
murder?
Exactly.
Mm.
So, like, how would you like this to be dealt with?
I'm glad I'm not the one in charge of all this.
Right.
I basically would, if I was in power of all this, learn from it and do a lot of deterrence. And then with the individuals that have committed the crimes, again, I'm glad I'm not the one deciding all this. A lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but no to murder, no to hurting. And jail really doesn't do anything. I mean, they separate them, as far as I know, like people with sex crimes and stuff like that get separated to like protective custody, and then everyone else is in general population. As far as my research goes, there's no cure except for abstinence. Mm-hmm. There's one doctor that I read a report on in a medical journal. They said, what about something, I think it's called castration?
Yeah.
Because it'll take away the feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, just going to meet... I mean, see, again, I don't know. I wouldn't even be able to answer that. I mean, because I'm not out here to hurt people.
Right.
You know, I'm out here to shame, to scare, and to promote this movement among people and parents to watch what their kids are doing. But here's the thing that gets me. It's hard, and I understand, for parents to get this in their kids' heads. And it's an awkward topic because to sit here and say, like, this bad person could come down the street or whatever. Like, when I was a kid, would talk about this, it would be somebody you didn't know. It wouldn't be, the doctor, that's
Right.
looked over you for like 10 or 15 years. So it's hard for them to get this in the kid's head. But lo and behold, they bring sexual education into a younger level, into schools and stuff. And I've checked, and there's nobody talking about this.
Right.
There's nobody like informing the kids, like, bite down to the bone if someone's touching you inappropriately. And I like, when I become a parent someday, that's going to be the thing I'm going to tell my kids. I'll take the charges. If you're unsure and you do it, I'll take the charges, because I would rather, me get in trouble than to have my kid face this inside of their soul for the rest of their life.
Absolutely. It's a powerful moment too in the video. Again, Bathurst and Steele's, where you're telling the guy ruined relationships, therapy, all these things. I feel that there's so much ignorance on the part of these people, or they're so ruthless that they don't care, that they're not even consider. That's a major problem with these child predators, is that they're not considering the long-term ramifications of what they're doing. Like, they are destroying an entire life, essentially,
For sexual gratification.
It's it's appalling.
See, that's the thing I don't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, even with people our age, that go on online sites just to find a booty call. I mean, because for me, I've always liked being in relationships, before having sexual contact.
Yeah.
And for someone that messages me when I'm pretending to be a kid, and it's like as soon as they find out that I'm a kid, it's easy to them. They think in their head, from my point of view, they think it's going to be easy. So then the sexual conversation starts from their end, and as well as, geez, I've seen more dicks than I think any woman in the world.
Huh.
Like the penis pictures and trying to show off with abs and all this and all that. It's like,
Yeah. Wow. But like you've been referred to, or you've been compared to Chris Hansen, but I feel your approach is different. As I was just saying before the cameras turned on, like you're much more aggressive. He's more contained. Some people also think of you as like a vigilante or a hero, but when you think of what you're doing, like how do you identify, or how do you perceive yourself? Like, what is there a title that you would give?
just a man that wants to start a movement among people. That's it. I mean, I've gotten that Ontario's hero, Canada's hero, and they hashtag it and stuff, and I keep telling everyone, don't say that. Because a hero to me is our firefighters, our moms, our dads, these people that, go above and beyond for us. I'm just somebody that wants change, especially with these online sites. It should not be that easy to log in with no verification of even just an email.
Yes.
And I mean, I believe that it's due to the fact of all these ads. Ads control revenue with a lot of these companies. It's just like you can have this company, the Coca-Cola, for example, or something. They post up an ad. Well, I don't know how much money they get, X amount of dollars for that, and it's like, to them, it's well, as long as we just glide by the law on what our protocol should be, okay, well, we're making money. But I don't think they think about the ramifications that can happen to these individuals that join these sites.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like a lot of rapes and stuff that you'll hear that'll happen. Like people will just randomly meet each other. I mean, there should be something on file to like prove who's on the sites. It should not just be anybody. There's this is a little off topic, a little bit of a detour, but there's a club in New York City that my friend went to. He came back and told me about this. Basically, they take a picture of your driver's license when you go in, and they do this joke thing where they just blur out your information, but they just have pictures up everywhere flashing. Well, that was to make people feel comfortable, because to make it a joke, but the owner had told them that the reason for that is so that they know who is in there. So if a shooting happens, we have everyone's address and identification right here. Wow. It's not just, here and you go in. No, it's full verification. And a lot of these websites too should have that.
Absolutely.
That's a clever idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's no, I mean, what sort of system could even be, implemented to, because I mean, online it's such a, I mean, there's certain apps that you can get that are going to block your IP address or whatever, right? And that can make it untraceable, and kids are pretty savvy when it comes to that stuff, and these apps are readily available to pretty much everyone. And yeah, I mean, like, there's nobody physically there, like, at LCBO or something, you've got the guy, or at a bar, you've got the bartender to check it out, look at the person. Mm-hmm. But they're really just going off like an honor code, like, yes, I'm 18 years old, click the button.
So, Justin, do you feel that, I mean, based on some of the things you've said, I feel that this could be a possibility. Do you feel that parents are seriously in denial about the ease with which kids have access to these gateways that put them into at least potential contact with the child predators? Is that like one of the main motivators here?
I definitely believe that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when we were a kid, we didn't have tablets or anything like that. It was that big block computer that sat in the living room with everybody else. So you couldn't sit there and watch porn. You couldn't download anything. And my mom was always walking by. Right. But now it's, the single mom or the single dad or the family. It's, okay, listen, just go to your room, just play on your computer.
Right.
It's like, do you realize what you're doing? Like, you're giving the gateway to the entire world right there. And even if they don't get to meet them, the things that they can say to them can screw with their head. Like, they're not supposed to know these disgusting things or be talking about body parts. it's not supposed to happen. And that's why I believe like a lot of the kids now are getting affected by this because of all these changes in the world and these advances. It's great. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I love technology. I love cameras, and I love, online sites and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's always going to be this fight.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a bigger fight in this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like saying, like, okay, we have police. Okay, so crime should stop. No, it's not going to stop.
Right.
But there should be a bigger push to stop this from happening to kids.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm just remembering, like, in the beginning, or like at least when the public had access to the internet, there was all this talk about like Net Nanny and like these programs. It was like, don't worry about it, parents, we got this program for you. You can see where your kids are going, But now there's phones and there's all these mobile devices. Like, it's just, I think we're at just this crossroads where it's sort of like a nightmare situation. Like, what do we do? When every child has a device in their hand, it's not under supervision.
I mean, I know it's impossible to stop this, but monitoring, setting up roadblocks on the computers and stuff like that. And the number one most important thing, which is obvious but people aren't really doing, talk to the kids, inform them, have a great communication relationship with your children. Allow them the opportunity to come to you and talk to you and tell you things. It doesn't just start or stop with sexual predators. It's your overall communication with your kids. I mean, if you sit there and dismiss every emotion that your kid has, or even just a few, it might cut off that connection with you. So when they see or do something or hear something or whatever, they won't come to you. So then that problem can further into something a lot more serious than where it started.
So one thing I'm sure a lot of people are interested in knowing, Justin, is was it now 150 people you've confronted?
Over 200.
Wow.
I literally lost count. I mean, I've tried. I haven't kept all my chat logs. I mean, in the beginning, I didn't do this for online purposes. I hate to say this, but I was slightly scared of what people would think about me, on here doing this, because I've gotten a lot of criticism from friends saying, like, as jokes mostly, but like, do you enjoy this? Like, does this turn you on? And that kind of stuff. And it's like, it makes me feel bad. Like, you're supposed to be my friend. You're supposed to support me. Right. Why would you make a joke like this?
Yeah. And so, what I want to ask you, like, and any arrest, convictions, nothing?
As far as I know, no. I mean, it's just like we talked about earlier. Like, I would have probably gotten a phone call, if there was an arrest and stuff. I'm thinking about just venturing into citizen's arrest, but I'm going to make sure to research the laws and stuff on that and find out, because I heard that, like, it could be considered as kidnapping, or just not just detaining, like keeping somebody against their will, and I could probably get charged for that. But I'm thinking I'm gonna speed this up a little bit and start doing a little bit more than what I'm doing, just posting a video and calling the cops, because it just doesn't seem like anything's really getting done. I mean, I brought them a paramedic at one time. I mean, just the person's job shouldn't differentiate them from the rest of them, but this person to me is around children and families all day, every day, with admittance too of being over the age of 20 and having sex with a 13-year-old. He admitted to me, and I brought those chat logs in. This is one prime example. It's 9:00 and I don't get it until 6 or 7. I'm just going there to drop off the chat logs and to just give my side of the story, basically, and then it turns into, can we have your phone? Oh, hold on, we'll be right back. So they come in with forms and papers and push them in front of me. Well, we want to take your phone, and this basically says that if you have anything on that phone that's illegal, like such as holding a handgun without a permit, so on and so forth, we will charge you to the full extent of the law. And it's like, then the tables get turned in a matter of seconds. Like, it just becomes about me instead of, you guys should, I have the address, like, go to this guy's house, like, talk to him at least, something. This guy could be a sex offender right there, and it's like, you guys, you got something to go by in court, something.
I mean, I think that's what people, on top of that, you're going after child predators. It's also, I feel that there is, like right now, as there's been probably forever, like this just general dissatisfaction with the justice system. Things take too long. There's too much red tape, the bureaucracy of it all. I mean, what specifically have you learned though about the way that police handle situations? I mean, you're the perfect example. You're bringing them all the evidence that someone could bring, right? And what are they telling you after they processed it? Like, we'll give you a call, or we found a lead, or like what?
Basically, what happens the last few times that I've brought information and stuff in with pictures and chat logs and stuff and videos and the video that I make, because even sometimes I'll get them to go on Skype and stuff, and I'll just have the camera pointed to the ceiling and say that it's just not working or something like that, and then 9 times out of 10 I get them to basically say I am me, or like who they are. We've been talking. I'm okay with you being a kid. I'm gonna meet you here. Like, I try to get as much intel as I can, but basically the last couple of times I've brought this stuff in, it's here's a reference number. You can check in and find out what's happened. It's like, are you serious? Like, this should be your priority, but because there's no actual victim, like it'd be different if a crime has actually been committed. Like, there's a real kid that went on the internet and was molested or sexually assaulted by one of these people, then this would probably take top priority. And then like go back a little bit and it's somebody that was just chatting. I mean, something might get done, but because there is no kid, there's in the police eyes this piece of shit vigilante online doing this. This is a joke to them. This is a circus. This is nothing. Whereas if like parents are seeing this and it's like they're seeing like an actual like glimpse inside of justice system, that there's not enough being done. Right. I mean, these people are allowed to just walk out of there, like just walk home, and it's like, and that's why like I'm really thinking about because I already went out and I bought handcuffs and stuff, regulation, not police ones, but just enough to arrest people. I want to figure out citizen's arrest and keeping myself out of the realm of getting in trouble, but start slapping cuffs on people.
Yeah. Like you could put together a platoon or like a squad.
That's actually funny that you say that, because there's a girl on my Facebook named Christine. Mm-hmm. She I couldn't believe it. One day I went on and because it was right after I went on the news. Basically like this following started happening, and it was like all this support, so it wasn't just me basically sitting in my car like I always do in an empty parking lot chatting with these guys. Like, I have people that actually are telling me like, I care about you, like if you need to just talk about this or just talk about anything in general, like I'm here for you. Basically a bunch of the girls got together and formed a group called PMS. It's called Payne's Monster Squad. Really? So like they promote the movement, they make slogans and stuff like that, and it basically helps advertise this message.
Wow. Cool. So I have to ask, because you work construction, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is always on your mind when you're like doing heavy work.
Oh yeah.
So like, how do you?
I would rather do this.
Yeah.
Than.
Oh, that I know. Yeah, for sure. So, but how are you able to like juggle? Because that's a huge thing to have on your mind when you're doing such physical labor, right? How are you able to manage that?
The one good thing about me is, I mean, again, like even if I'm an emotional wreck, my mind is like that. Like it separates, categorizes, and files every emotion and every thought. So I'm able to just, because I mean, like everyday life to me, work or whatever, is just routine. I mean, I can't wait till it's done so that I can finish just chatting and get that, hey, I'll meet you. Right. And then it's like, then my work starts. And I just go to it, like, basically with a lot more enthusiasm than, getting up for everyday life.
So, like, at your breaks, you're going back to your phone and...
Oh, yeah.
So, man, I feel like this is your calling.
I have to ask you about your name. Is that your real name, Justin Payne?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's where my bullying pretty much started when I was a kid, because it's like my dad's last name is Payne, and for some reason they picked Justin. And I still can't understand that, because it's like...
Sounds like you're just in pain.
Yeah, I mean, I called the dentist's office a couple of weeks ago, and this is a prime example. I'm just in pain. And the lady hung up on me, and I'm like, okay. So I call back in again, and she said, stop prank calling here.
Oh,
So I go into the office in Mississauga, and I'm like, dude, my tooth really hurts. I'm just in pain. You're the guy that was on the phone. It's like, yeah. That's when I basically actually started to realize that that's why I used to get bullied.
wow.
Makes sense.
Wow. But it's kind of fitting now, though, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's the thing that's actually pretty cool. It's like there's a lot of things in my life that didn't seem to stick with me. Like I used to feel like I shouldn't have this or I shouldn't have that. But then it's like everything's starting to, fill in together perfectly. Like like my name, my childhood, everything. It's like it was for this, and it's just like to realize that is like amazing. Like my whole life I didn't really know my purpose. I thought it was just work, home, sleep, work, home, sleep. But since starting this, it's like this is what I was meant to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And
It's like it's a mission. So you were mentioning just before we started that you've been getting a lot of people opening up to you about their own experiences of child abuse. Let me just ask you, like, why do you, without assuming anything, like, why do you think that they feel comfortable coming to you?
I think like a lot of them have been following me for a while, for the most part, that leave me the messages and stuff. They've been following for a while, and they get the sense that somebody's willing to go not just above but way beyond what anybody else is doing, rather than just like make a report and send it in and wait a few weeks for a few more victims. It's no, this person's coming out right now to do this.
Right.
And I think that they feel that just this feeling that somebody is trying their hardest to do something, and then they just have a moment where it's just first message, dude, like, thank you so much, like, it doesn't change what happened to me, but I like to see that what happened to me never happens to anybody else. Because a lot of the messages I do get, it's not like a friend of the family or something like that. It's the person that did the things to them were somebody online.
Wow.
This curiosity, just like when I was a kid, like this curiosity to jump on the internet and just chat. I mean, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Like when I used to go online and stuff on MSN Messenger and stuff, it wasn't to like go to look to meet people or to hook up or whatever. I was a kid. I mean, I just was curious. I mean, I was bored. I mean, like just not being allowed to go out or whatnot. All we had was the internet.
Yeah.
And I would just jump on and just start chatting, and I'm very lucky, and I still keep saying this to myself, I'm so lucky that nothing happened to me. I mean, it could have.
Right. I mean, from the responses that you've been getting, do you get the sense that there's a lot of people who never came out to talk to someone about what happened to them?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them even told me, I've bottled this up inside, I've had suicide attempts. It's helped increase their anxiety and stuff towards life, where they just, some will go to work and come home and then that's it. Like there's no weekends out, there's no friends, there's nothing. It's just a life of depression. And then it's like you see me, and it's like you get that moment where you feel like you can open up, and it's not like a therapist where it's okay. Well, it's either your health card is paying me or you're paying me to sit here for an hour. And then it's like, then you're gone, and then that's it. No, this person, like me, I actually care about you, because I get hundreds of messages a day from new people, and I message each one back accordingly.
Yes.
I make sure.
Yeah. No, the sense of care is definitely there. People can feel that.
I guess what does the future hold for Justin Payne?
That's another question that everybody keeps asking me. Basically, just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. It's just gonna translate into the next step after the next step, whatever that might be, but it's basically going to be just doing what I'm doing, and with all the helping hands that keep coming in with different social media platforms and stuff like that, and just like such as you guys contacting me to come out here and do this, it's all a progression towards change. It started with one guy sitting in a car in an empty parking lot, and then it furthered into this PMS group and all these other people that are out here doing this. As long as they're not out there physically hurting anybody, I commend them and I support them 100%. But as soon as somebody goes out and actually starts creating bodily harm on people, then that's when I'm done. I'm not supporting them. Because, like, to me, I live by this rule. You know, the Martin Luther King, nonviolent. He believed that things could change with words and you know, like presentations and stuff like that. And that's basically where I've gotten this whole posted online thing and not creating violence towards them. I know that there could be a repercussion if somebody sees their face, but it's just basically I'm going to have to live with that if it does happen. And it's something that I don't ever want to have happen, but it definitely could.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, like, as much as, like, when I go online, a lot of them will say to me, "Are you Justin Payne?" After I tell them I'm a kid. And then I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" Well, it's like, it's working. You know, like, as soon as they hear 12 or 13 or 14 or a kid or whatever, they don't message. And no meeting to me is a happy day. And some days that it's like that. I'll be online and I won't get anybody to meet me because they know that somebody's watching the internet, and I fucking love it.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, maybe we're at a point like where there's like over 200 times. Like if you feel exposing, something good must come out of that eventually, because it's going to look very bad on the justice. If nothing, you have all this evidence and there's no arrests, there's no conviction. It looks terrible. So there's got to be a point where something gives and people start doing something.
That's the one thing that I want to expose to, is the fact that it's like there's this guy, and like many other people out there just like me, like there's a guy in Calgary that's exposing all these people too. And it's not just like someone saying, "Hey, I'll meet you." It's, "I'm taking your virginity today."
Yeah.
Or like I've gotten messages like, you know, I'm late sometimes to meet them. And I know that's unprofessional, but sometimes I'm like 10, 15 minutes late. Some of these guys will tell me that I have to give them a blowjob. Otherwise, they're going to leave. And it's like, right there, there's something that should be done, because there's something in their head that's allowing them to sit there in that parking lot and wait, or even just show up, or even entertain the conversation. Like, something needs to get done, whether or not it's psychological help or a charge or something, because, you know, it's like lead by example. I mean, I hate getting in trouble for stuff. You know, I mean, just like any of us, right? I mean, like, you're jaywalking, you get a ticket. You're speeding, you get a ticket. But with all this happening, it's leading by example. I mean, you don't see people like speeding. I mean, well, sorry, correct me. Or let me correct myself there for a second. People are speeding, but not as much as if like nothing was being done. I mean, if you didn't have a highway patrol officer out there, you know, every so often reiterating this, giving tickets and stuff. You know, word of mouth even, you know, "Oh, I got a ticket today. I was doing 10 over," you know, and then it furthers into more minds that, "Oh, well, guess what? I'm not going to speed today." Or the one thing, though, that I really want to get out there is anybody out there that has this fantasy or this feeling to want to do this, seek help. Period. I know it's embarrassing, but seek help. Go to your local healthcare provider, a fucking walk-in clinic, man, a hospital. Go to the counter and say, "I have this feeling that I might sexually abuse or molest a child."
Right.
And I mean, I can't speak for every hospital, because I mean, it'd be an odd thing for them to have happen just randomly like that. But the more you open your mouth and sit there and say, "I need help," you're going to get help. Mm-hmm. Because this is one thing that nobody wants to have happen. And I know that, like, a lot of these people, like, from my understanding, they didn't choose to be out there and have this feeling. I mean, there's some that, somebody opened my eyes to this, that there's a lot of people that were sexually molested when they were a kid. And again, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but it kind of makes sense to some people doing this, that like they're doing it in their life too. I mean, there's one example of somebody that I heard about that was molested for like 12 years. And it was just by two different people in the family. And they went out and actually started doing it in their adult life. Wow. And
you see, that's the thing. Like, it's watching a documentary on a different topic. October County. but it had to do with a different kind of legacy of dysfunction. But it's like until someone breaks that chain, then that's what you're saying is just going to recur. You know, tragically, just going to recur. It takes a courageous person, you know, to walk in and say, I need help. And that's sometimes what I feel.
Yeah, I could see that being hard too. I mean, like me going into the hospital when my anxiety was getting really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that alone was like really, really hard for me to do.
Yeah. Do you want to get them? Sometimes I'm wondering when I'm watching a video, like when you really dig into them, do you want them to admit, like say, yes, I have a problem, I need help?
Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, like I want them to get that in their head that, I mean, because like 9 times out of 10, excuse me, I just think that what's going to happen is it's just an apology. I'm never going to do this again. You know, I did come to do this. And then it's just like when most people, okay, this is one thing I even said in my video too. When most people do things wrong, what's their first reaction? I'm sorry. I won't do it again.
Yes.
I don't believe it. I'm sorry.
That's what I see in the video, yeah.
My belief is,
Yeah.
I wanted to hurt you. I wanted to do this. I would like to try to figure out something to not want to do this again. You know, like someone that steals. Let's say that's kind of a bad example, but someone that goes out and shoplifts. Just saying I'm sorry doesn't really solve anything, and it doesn't figure anything out. But by sitting there and saying, you know, I like the adrenaline rush, I like this, I like that, I like this, I wanted this, like this is honesty and this is a confession.
Right.
I'm sorry is just I want to get out of this situation as quick as possible. So as soon as I say that one word that I was taught my whole life to say, then I'm going to get away from this, and then nothing's solved. But the one thing that I figured out too with a lot of people is when you confess something, it's like an out-of-body experience. It sounds a little bit weird, but it's just like a personal belief that like when you speak it, you can kind of understand it because you're hearing it, not just thinking it.
That's a great point. Yeah. See, that's what I feel you're getting. I wasn't sure if I was right, but I felt like when I was watching the videos last night, especially the one of the Bathurst and Steeles Plaza, that's what you were kind of getting at, and he wasn't getting it. You know, he was apologizing, but you're still going. He was apologizing, still going, apologizing, still going. But I was wondering if he would just say, you know, like if he would make this confession, maybe there's hope for transformation. You know, this person will stop doing this. You know, that's the first step. You know, no guarantee. You know, again, tragically, but at least, you know,
it's like externalizing it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Because I totally agree. Like, I'm sorry in that situation. It's like I just need to get out of here. You know.
Yeah, that's basically what he was the whole conversation.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then when he came up to touch me too, that I didn't
Yes.
understand. He came
Right.
like he came
Oh,
right
I saw-
over
yes.
and tried to touch my
Yeah.
arm, and it was like, dude, like I have this circle where I don't like people in my
Yes.
space, and it's like when I get touched by a random stranger, especially somebody that's there to have sex with a child,
Right.
then it's you're kind of lucky you didn't get punched in the face. I mean,
Right.
but here's the thing that I always come to the crossroads where if I physically hurt anybody, my face is tarnished. People will stop following me, and I mean the movement won't stop. But everything that we've all worked so hard to push here will be stopped.
Yeah.
And I mean it's gonna look unprofessional too in eyes of like politicians and stuff that hopefully eventually might start following on this. Like not me jumping on cars, not me being an idiot and stuff like that and yelling at people's face, but to see that there's a problem. Like I'm trying to aggravate the wound here,
Right.
basically by putting salt in it and saying like somebody needs to fix this.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's also, you know, as a afterthought, it's very commendable that you can do that because you have like a whole society behind you basically saying, you know, beat them, you know, kill them. But you're able to retain this, I guess, rational mindedness. Like you see you have a vision. Like I could see it, you know, as you talk now, you have a vision of what you want to do when you go out there, what ultimately you want to do to get politicians and law enforcement to change. And you're sticking to that vision, which is, you know, it's very commendable because, like, you know, the mob mentality could get to an individual, and they'll feel like, yeah, now I'm justified. I got the world behind me. I could administer violence, but
here's the thing that would happen in my mind if I started like doing beatings on people. Well, one, it probably won't get past one video. Two, all the supporters of a movement for progression and change will leave, and then the new followers will just be people that want to see retarded things like they watch on the internet, just something just to watch. But there won't be any feeling there. There's just like, oh, that's funny. So like the people that I want on my movement are people that want change and people that don't want to kill people, like that want things to happen. I mean, I can't keep going forward, if I take 2 steps back.
True. It's like you were saying earlier, like leading by example, of course, is the best way. And if you start, using violence or whatever, like physical violence against these people, then your followers might be like, well, I mean, that seems like a way of, getting the job done. You don't want that, right? You want...
Yeah, I don't want to influence people into...
Exactly.
This is why I always try to go alone. Because I'm scared to death to bring people. There's only one person that I've trusted to come with me, and the guy is amazing. Like, it's funny because Kyle is... He's learning to get better on camera. I mean, I'm learning every day too, but he's slowly progressing. But when it comes to talking... Holy shit, there's some times where it's just like the voice from beyond. He's holding the camera, and it's like, meanwhile, he saves my ass. Like, I'm just a string of emotions and me being exhausted and stuff like that. And then he comes out of nowhere with, for example, there's one video that I'm going to be uploading in a couple of days where we met a guy at Shoppers Drug Mart. That's the guy that met me within 15 minutes. We did the confrontation inside the Shoppers Drug Mart. We walked outside, and I told the guy I wasn't leaving without speaking to him further, and I was going to stand by his vehicle. So Kyle pops the camera up in my face, and I say, well, we're not going to get the license plate on film. And then I turn into the whole, and then boom, Kyle just jumps in. Well, we don't want any damage done to these vehicles because it could come back on us, and it could be a repercussion that could happen, and this. And it's like, dude, are you serious? You're the guy that doesn't, like, you can't be on camera, and it's just like you're trying so hard, but like he can talk like better than anybody that I've ever seen. So it's like we've definitely created a brothership and a partnership there.
That's fantastic.
Nice. Yeah. It was a very powerful story, man.
Yeah.
I'm very happy you graced us here.
So, wow, Justin Payne, that was very interesting, very moving.
For sure. I mean, definitely passionate about what he's doing. Some people have been questioning, I know, whether this is a social media thing. This is something for entertainment, but it's definitely, I see, especially after talking to him in person, that this is much more. It's a mission for him. I kind of see him as a martyr. I mean, he's putting himself in harm's way directly all the time. And I think he's courageously, he's willing, but also sadly, he's willing to die for this cause. And the question I have, though, is, will it solve the problem? His heart is in the right place, and I think certainly he's bringing awareness to the issue, but will these predators, if the police are not making the arrests, if he's bringing them the evidence and they're still not doing anything, and he's going out there, is it going to solve the problem of child abuse?
It very well might not. But I think what's interesting about taking into consideration all the things that Justin does and who he is,
right,
it's very interesting to me because, well, before we interviewed him today, I was watching his videos on YouTube, and I couldn't help but, kind of get caught up in the character of Justin Payne. Like,
right,
he's just so over the top, and he's yelling all the time, and it kind of it distracts from the seriousness of what he's trying to do in his videos. So I wasn't too sure what to expect from him today. But after I heard him speak and hear how emotional he is about it and how close to the chest he plays this game, it sort of made me realize that he doesn't seem like he's necessarily in it for YouTube fame or vanity. it does seem like it comes from a bit of a more legitimate place.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I still fundamentally don't necessarily agree with that tactic, and whether or not it'll actually work out in the favor of ridding the streets of, pedophiles. I mean, I think that it might not do the trick, but I mean, if one pedophile decides to turn their life around because of what Justin Payne's doing, then ultimately,
Sure.
I mean, I think he's done a good thing.
Yeah, no, ideally, I mean, that would be fantastic if every time he encountered one, he confronts one, that they say, okay, I'm stopping, I'm turning my life around. If that were the case, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong then, I mean, with what he's doing. But what I fear is that, I mean, some of the research shows is they will, go deeper into hiding and move away and just carry on their crimes elsewhere. So that's one fear I have. But I think insofar as he's showing who these people are to warn parents, things like that, he's definitely doing a major public service. Also, I think what's very telling about all this is, or what's really interesting about this is his audience, the kinds of responses he's gotten from people and how much what he's doing is resonating with other people, which, is testament to how many people are still, very unfortunately are silent about the abuse that they've experienced. Just how many people have growing, when they were young, or children, they were abused themselves. And I think they look to Justin as a hero. They are kind of, I don't know if the right word is vicariously, they're living through him to punish the wrongs of their own past. So it's a really interesting thing. I see the audience, to me, is, I don't know if I would say as interesting as Justin, but like they're pretty close. I mean, in my own interest is really with what Justin's doing. But I see the audience as this group, as this collective, as really, really interesting too, because of how they're responding to Justin, what that says about our society, how long child abuse has been going on throughout the generations and nothing's been done about it. And that's what's coming to light too, is not just the children who stand to be abused if no one intervenes like Justin, but the children who are now adults who have also been abused and are coming forth now for the first time, at least to Justin, and maybe they'll have the courage to go public with it, and rights or wrongs can be righted finally.
Yeah, it's sad it's sad that Justin Payne has to do what he's doing.
Yeah,
it should be already enforced by the police system or something. I mean, it shouldn't fall on the sole shoulders of this one man. Right. And I think, I mean, part of his popularity too is that I feel there's just this growing disenchantment with police, with law enforcement, that they're not working on it enough, or there's no results, or there's a lack of transparency. Maybe the police are working on this, let's just say hypothetically, they are working on this just as hard as Justin, but they don't see the results. With Justin, I mean, and with the power of social media, you see exactly what he's doing with these videos. Like, you see up and close, uncensored, exactly what's happening. And so people are celebrating that, and it's a sort of no-nonsense approach. And so I think that's part of the popularity of Justin, is that he walks the walk. He's not, I mean, he's putting everything out there. He's risking his safety, but he's also, I mean, giving up his time, giving up his money. Is everything that he does has gone into this, which I think again makes him, in the eyes of a lot of people, a hero rather than just a vigilante. So we're going to be including links to some of Justin Payne's videos underneath this podcast, so let us know what you think. Do you agree with Justin Payne's methods? Do you not? Let us know in the comments section. Yeah, that would be great. Especially this cast has a lot of, I think, a lot of ethical issues that can really be unpacked and explored. So I would love to hear what you have to say, and whether you think
the approach that Justin is taking, like other child predator hunters around the world, like in the UK, you might want to look up, for example, Dark Justice, whether that approach is the way of the future with social media, whether they can work alongside police or law enforcement to solve the problem of child abuse. So you're definitely going to want to tune into the next cast where we interview Mindbender, who is a hip-hop artist turned porn star.
Certainly is a mind bender.
For sure.
Until then.
This is The Dark Room.